Hold on. Stop whatever you are doing right now, because the Toronto Blue Jays just pulled off one of the most audacious, sneaky, and flat-out brilliant signings in recent baseball history, and the mainstream media is completely missing the point. Yes, Max Scherzer is back in a Blue Jays uniform. Yes, the contract is shockingly cheap. But once you understand the full picture of why Ross Atkins brought Mad Max back to Toronto, everything about this offseason suddenly clicks into place like the last piece of a championship puzzle. We are breaking it all down today. The real money, the shocking incentive structure, the secret agenda hiding behind this deal, and what it all means for the Jays' legitimate World Series chances in 2026. Stay locked in, because this one is going to blow your mind. So, let's set the stage here. It is past midnight on February 26, 2026. Spring training is already 2 weeks deep. Players are sweating it out in Dunedin. And then, out of nowhere, Jon Heyman drops the news that the Toronto Blue Jays and Max Scherzer have agreed to terms on a brand new one-year deal. No build-up, no dramatic press conference. Just boom, Mad Max is back in the blue and white. The baseball world collectively loses its mind. And honestly, fair enough, because the more you dig into the details of this deal, the more your jaw hits the floor. Here are the raw numbers, and brace yourself, because this is where it gets absolutely wild. $3 million. That is it. That is Scherzer's guaranteed base salary. $3 million for a 3-time Cy Young Award winner, for an 8-time All-Star, for a man who currently sits 11th on the all-time strikeout list with 3,489 career punchouts, sitting just 20 shy of the legendary Walter Johnson. A man who is a near lock for the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, and who just last November walked off the mound at Rogers Center to a standing ovation in a World Series game, and the Blue Jays got him for $3 million guaranteed. Let that sink in. Now, here is where the contract gets even more interesting, because on top of that $3 million base, Scherzer can earn up to $10 million more in performance incentives, bringing the total ceiling of this deal to $13 million. And when you look at how those incentives are structured, it becomes clear that this deal was designed by absolute geniuses. He collects $1 million for every 10 innings pitched, starting at 65 innings and climbing all the way up through 155 innings. $1 million at 65, $1 million at 75, $1 million at 85, and so on and so forth all the way up. It is a pure pay-for-performance structure. The Blue Jays pay Scherzer more only if he is actually healthy enough and good enough to earn it. And here is the thing that everyone needs to understand. Last season, even through a thumb injury that shut him down for 2 full months, Scherzer still threw 85 innings in the regular season. He already cleared the first 3 bonus thresholds just in the regular season alone, while injured. If he stays even halfway healthy in 2026, this contract almost pays for itself in value generated before you even factor in everything else he brings to this organization. Because that is the thing, folks. That is the part that is flying completely under the radar of casual fans and even some of the bigger analysts out there. This is not just a pitching signing. This was never just a pitching signing. Ross Atkins and the Blue Jays front office did not bring Max Scherzer back for $13 million worth of starts. They brought him back for something that does not show up in any box score, something you cannot measure in ERA or WHIP or innings pitched. They brought him back because Max Scherzer is, without any exaggeration, one of the most valuable baseball minds on the planet Earth, and they want that brain inside their clubhouse, working on their young pitchers every single day. Think about what this Blue Jays rotation looks like right now. You have got Dylan Cease, the prized free agent acquisition and the arguable ace of this staff. You have Kevin Gausman, a proven veteran anchor. You have Trey Yesavage, the electric young prospect who is the future of this franchise, but who the Jays are going to be managing carefully in terms of his inning count. You have Cody Ponce, a significant question mark coming over from Korea, a guy no one in North America has really seen dominate big league competition. You have Jose Berrios, a pitcher who could give you anything from great to baffling on any given Tuesday, and then Shane Bieber, who is expected to open the season on the injured list and whose availability in the early months is murky at best. There is a lot of talent in that room. There is also a lot of uncertainty, a lot of youth, and a lot of guys who could benefit enormously from the presence of someone who has been through absolutely everything this game can throw at a pitcher, and that is exactly what Max Scherzer is. Manager John Schneider himself said it best after the World Series run last year. He said Scherzer is not afraid to question base running. He is not afraid to question defense or offense. He challenges his teammates, pushes the envelope, shares wisdom from 18 years of navigating the highest pressure situations baseball has to offer. That is not just a pitcher. That is a walking, talking coaching staff built into a player's contract. That is a pitching mentor, a clubhouse voice, a competitor who drags everyone around him up to his level simply by showing up to work. And the Blue Jays are getting all of that for $3 million guaranteed dollars. Let us talk for a second about Trey Yesavage specifically, because this might be the most important angle of this entire story. Yesavage is one of the most exciting young arms in baseball. The kid has generational stuff and filth coming out of his hand on a nightly basis when he is locked in. But he is young, he is raw. The Blue Jays are going to limit his innings this season, probably somewhere in the range of 100 to 150, because protecting his long-term health and development is the priority. So you have this incredibly talented kid who is still learning how to be a big league starting pitcher, and now sitting in the same rotation, in the same dugout, in the same bullpen conversation with him every day is a man who has won 3 Cy Young Awards and 2 World Series rings and has forgotten more about pitching than most people will ever learn. You literally cannot put a price tag on that mentoring relationship. And then beyond Yesavage, there is Ricky Tiedemann, the top prospect who is currently shut down with elbow soreness, but who the organization views as another cornerstone of their future. There is Johnny King. There is a whole pipeline of young arms who are going to get to absorb Scherzer's knowledge just by being in proximity to him. Ross Atkins essentially signed the greatest pitching coach in the sport and dressed him up in a player's uniform. Now let us address the elephant in the rotation because some fans are asking the obvious question. If the Jays already have Gausman, Cease, Berrios, Yesavage, Ponce, Bieber, and Lauer, why do they need Scherzer as a starter at all? And the answer, the real answer, is that they do not necessarily need him to be a starter in the traditional sense. He is slated to be ramping up for late April or May, which conveniently gives the rotation time to sort itself out while Bieber gets healthy and Ponce proves himself. When Scherzer does slot in, he creates competition. He creates pressure. He makes Eric Lauer fight for his spot. He makes Berrios accountable. He makes Ponce prove himself against a depth chart that has no room for complacency. In a weird way, having too many starters is actually one of the best problems you can have, especially when one of those starters is a living legend on a $3 million contract who would cost you nothing if he cannot get through a single inning all year. And speaking of the money, let us get real about what $3 million means to the Toronto Blue Jays. This is a team that handed Dylan Cease a massive contract this offseason. This is a team with a payroll built to compete right now. $3 million is, in the grand scheme of a Major League Baseball operation, an absolutely negligible amount of money for the insurance, the depth, the mentorship, and the competitive electricity that Scherzer brings to the building. Even if his arm completely falls off on day 1 of spring training and he never throws a competitive pitch all year, the Blue Jays lose $3 million and gained an entire offseason of veterans' leadership in the clubhouse during the most critical developmental stretch for their young core. That is not a bad trade. That is a steal. That is Ross Atkins playing chess while the rest of the league plays checkers. And let us not forget that this is a man who chose Toronto. He chose $3 million over whatever other options he had on the open market. He said after the World Series that he had unfinished business. He watched his Blue Jays lose Game 7 to the Dodgers in 11 innings, watched a team that was right there, right on the doorstep of a championship, and he decided he was not done yet. He came back for a fraction of the $15.5 million he made last year, came back on a pure prove-it, performance-based deal, because he believes in this team, and he wants to be part of something historic in Toronto. That tells you everything about his character and his competitive fire. At 41 years old, almost 42, this man is still chasing glory, and he wants to do it in Blue Jays colors. The incentive structure also deserves one more mention here because it is genuinely brilliant from both sides of the table. Scherzer's incentives kick in at 65 innings. That is not a lot of innings. That is roughly 10 to 12 starts if he goes a normal 5 or 6 innings each time. Last year, even through injury, he threw 85 innings and made 17 starts. The floor on those incentives is deliberately achievable, which means Scherzer has a realistic path to earning real money, and the Jays have a structure that rewards performance and availability. If he is healthy and pitching well, the bonuses kick in and everyone wins. If he is not healthy, the Jays are out $3 million and move on. It is a deal that works perfectly for both parties, and you cannot help but tip your cap to the negotiators on both sides who put it together. Now, what does all of this mean for the 2026 Toronto Blue Jays? It means they are deeper, smarter, and more dangerous than almost any team in the American League. It means their young pitchers are going to learn from the best. It means their veterans have a competitor in their midst who will not let anyone get comfortable or complacent. It means that when September rolls around and the stakes are at their absolute highest, the Jays will have someone in that dugout who has been there, who has won when it mattered most, who can look a nervous 24-year-old in the eye and tell him exactly what to do and how to breathe. And it means that Ross Atkins, who caught some grief early this offseason for missing out on certain targets, has absolutely cooked this winter. The rotation is stacked, the pieces are in place, and the best part of it all costs $3 million and answers to the name Max Scherzer. This is what smart baseball looks like, folks. This is what it looks like when a front office thinks beyond the surface statistics and recognizes that the most valuable things in a championship clubhouse are sometimes the hardest to quantify. The Blue Jays did not just sign a pitcher, they signed a culture, they signed a standard, they signed the guy who is going to look Trey Yesevich in the eye every day and show him what a Hall of Fame work ethic and Hall of Fame preparation looks like in real time, and they did it for the price of a solid middle reliever. Ross Atkins deserves a standing ovation for this one, and the 2026 Blue Jays season cannot get here fast enough. If you made it this far, you are exactly the kind of fan this channel is built for, and I appreciate every single one of you more than you know. If you are not subscribed yet, what are you even doing with your life right now? Hit that subscribe button immediately because we cover every single move this franchise makes, first and fast, every single time. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Are you as fired up about this Scherzer signing as I am? Do you think he can stay healthy enough to earn those bonuses? And just how deep is this Blue Jays rotation going to be come October? Let me know everything down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, share it with every Jays fan you know, and I will see you in the next one. Go Jays, let's get that ring.